Hello and welcome to Media Queen TV. We have a very special guest with us today, a lady I've known for a very long time, the amazing Enza Lyons. And today we're going to be chatting about the surprise secret to reduce anxiety, increase clarity and productivity, which I know a lot of people want out there. So a little bit about Enza before we chat with her today. Now, Enza is a founder. She's a founder of Dynamic Learning and Health Center, which provides online behavior management training and coaching for parents of children with ADHD, with hyperactivity, and with related challenges. She's the creator of the Calm, Confident Child system. She offers practical strategies and resources to help parents support their children effectively, aiming to improve both school performance and overall well-being. She's also a brain gym consultant instructor, licensed in that, and also the creator of the Mind Agility and Resilience program, as well as Moves to Accelerate Learning in the Classroom, and the creator of the Calm, Confident Child. Welcome, Enza.
Thank you for having me here, Aldwyn. It's been a pleasure.
Great to have you here. Now, can you let us know a little bit of your background, please, Enza, and how you got into working in this field?
Well, the anxiety is a big thing. It really affects a lot of people. And as a child, I was brought up in a background where there was, in the early part of my life, there was a bit of domestic violence, which affected me as a child. So I was very anxious. And so it was very challenging. So it affected me with my learning at school, my performance. And then when I... later on in life, I got married. I was busy with the family business, supporting my husband, and life was very busy. And then I had 2 children, and that really added to the load. And I found that I was getting continual neck aches and back aches, and going to chiropractors, massager, therapists, and it would always be a temporary relief. And then after I had my second child, I started to have lingering lower back pain, and it was very difficult to pick up the kids, and it was getting very uncomfortable. And I persevered for about 8 months, and then someone said, "Go and see a kinesiologist," and that was sort of new in that era, a long time ago, and around 40 years ago, and I went to see her, and I came out of that session feeling free of pain, and I could not believe the results. And I thought, I've got to know more about this, because it just made such a big difference, and it increased my energy, and I was able to get back to normal life and not suffering the neck aches and back aches that I was having. So as years went on, then it came to a stage that one of my children didn't want to go to school, and I knew they were, intelligent and in their learning, but I couldn't understand what the problem was. So it led me on a search. And I researched in brain development and child development, and I started to look into psychology and nutrition. I looked into so many different areas, and I heard about a program that was being introduced in Australia, and I attended it. It was part of education, kinesiology and brain gym, and when I attended the course and experienced the benefits of it, I could not believe the difference, and it improved my learning. I learned a skill that can sort of release old patterns of thinking and retrain and rewire the brain so that it can reset and grow new pathways. So it was sort of working with the process of neuroplasticity about the brain and how it can grow new pathways. And I continued my studies, learning mainly all for my own benefit and my family at that time, and learning continued on. And then I was so excited about this program and the results that I was getting working with friends and family, and I decided to train and be an instructor and a consultant. And as people came to to Australia from the States. I got my license and I started teaching the program, and I've taught hundreds of teachers all around Queensland and northern New South Wales, the Brainging program, and it makes a huge difference with students. So this program is not only for children, it's also for adults. So as an adult, are you struggling, with stress and anxiety and poor memory and having focus problems at work? Or are you a mother who's got a child where anxiety is really ruling their life, and they're having emotional outbursts and they're getting behind in their school grades? And what about if you're a teacher, you're struggling with the challenges of students unable to focus, they're disengaged and they're falling behind in their test scores? Well, the program really makes a big difference for them. So so the program that I work with really transforms people's lives. So it dramatically improves their learning, their focus. It helps them to manage their stress and helps you to put balance in your life and harmony in the family and harmony at work too, because you function better.
Yes, and certainly anxiety is a massive thing for people nowadays. What are some simple things you can recommend that people do to overcome anxiety?
Well, firstly, we need to know what is anxiety, because a lot of people don't realise they are experiencing anxiety. So you could get, it can affect you physically, emotionally, and affect you academically or in your performance, mental performance. So it can be for physical, it could be stomach aches, headaches, feeling sleeping problems, irritability. And emotionally, it could be fear, worrying about things that aren't happening, aren't for real, and you can get angry, have emotional outbursts, temper tantrums, and all those sorts of things. And then all these things can affect you mentally. It can affect your focus and not able, to it affects your performance. It affects your performance, whether it's at home or at school or at work. And so people got to understand that. And a lot of people now are getting labelled as ADHD. I mean, 1 out of 20 people are being labelled ADHD. So we're having adults and children having challenges. So some of the things that you might notice that is unable to sit still and unable to focus and dizziness and things like that. Over 15 years ago, it could be even more now. I've been doing this work for over 30 years as a teacher and licensed consultant. Even though I learnt about it 40 years ago, I could see all these children, they were unable to sit still, unable to focus, and the parents were being told, oh, your child's got ADHD, and the best thing, they would go to the pediatrician. The best thing they could do was to give them medication and Ritalin. And I was working with parents that didn't want to medicate their children. They wanted a natural alternative way. So I started I've been working with the children unable to sit still for a long time, because it all goes back to movement and delayed development in those early stages of life, and the children haven't fully integrated the different primitive reflexes that you go through when you're a baby in that first 2 to 3 years of life. And once we integrate those primitive reflexes, the children are able to calm down. So let me share you a story about Jack. Now, Jack came to me when he was 12 years of age, and he was on medication since 4 years old. So he'd been on it for nearly 8 years. And his mother was so concerned because he was in conflict with his siblings, wasn't doing very well at school. And she heard about me, and I started working with Jack. And within 3 sessions, this child was so calm, so cooperative, no longer having conflicts with his siblings, and he was doing extremely well at school. He was getting A's at school, and he no longer needed medication. So his mother still continued for a few more sessions until, she felt that he was really doing extremely well in all areas, even in his athletes program that he was doing. So a few years later, I rang up just to see how she was going with Jack, and to my amazement, she said that he's doing extremely well and he's still getting A's. So wonderful results. So I'm sure parents would like that happening. But I had another child called Taylor, and she was very volatile. She was emotional. She couldn't concentrate. She had low grades at school. And because she was volatile, the mother was sending her to a psychologist, and she was there for months, several months going to the psychologist, and there was no changes. And someone told her about me, and she came to visit me, and I started to work with her. And after that first session, we noticed a huge improvement. She calmed down. And then after 2 more sessions, she just was such a different, delightful girl. And the mother was so amazed with the transformation. She had started getting A's and B's in her marks at school. She was able to concentrate. She was no longer critical of herself anymore. And she was just this happy, confident, calm child. So it was just amazing. So this also helps with adults. So I had a school teacher, Hannah. She was really stressed. She was depressed. She was having panic attacks because of the stresses of the workload at school and the children. And she came to me, and I started working with her. And after the first session, she noticed a huge improvements where she felt a lot calmer. And then after a few more sessions, her panic attack stopped. She was able to manage her life better, have better relationships, and managed her family, and work really well at school. So, it's a fantastic program. It's great also for the workplace. I worked with a CEO. He was involved with finance, and he was having challenges dealing with the high workload. And when he heard about what I was doing, he could see the benefits in fine tuning, his brain to be able to focus better and deal with the things that happen in the workplace. And so I started working with him, and he noticed a huge difference with it, with the work that I did, and he calmed down. And he found that after several sessions, he was able to really handle the high workloads. He said he felt more he could be more logical and think things over better and not get affected by the stresses that were happening. So he was handling his work very well. So there's so many wonderful stories. I mean, it helps with mature age students. I had Mario. He was a graphic artist, and he wanted to change his career to go into being an accountant and a financer. And he was finding, when I met him, he was on the last 2 semesters of his course, and he found that he knew his work, but when it came to exam time, he couldn't remember everything. So he didn't know how to get himself relaxed. So when I started working with him in the first session, he said he noticed how relaxed he was. And after a few more sessions, he was doing really well in exams. He improved in his performance. He was able to communicate better, and he was able to do his assignments because he was struggling with that. And what a huge difference, So if any of your people are interested in that sort of thing, to improve their life, well, this is amazing program that make a huge difference.
It sounds extraordinary. Wow, they're fantastic results there. I'm sure people would want to know more about. So how does the program actually work? What makes it really unique and different?
It is definitely unique and different, and it is unconventional. Brain Gym works on balancing the brain and body. There's many modalities out there that just works on the brain, working on your thinking processes. And then you've got other modalities that work with, say, massage, and they all work and help. But what I love about Brain Gym is that we connect the brain and body. So when we're balancing the whole brain and body. And it just helps release patterns of the old past patterns that are causing us to get stuck and blocked in our life and stopping us from moving forward. And a lot of these things are caused by some sort of stress or trauma. So when I've worked with children, oftentimes it goes back to a traumatic birth or some sort of injury. And I've worked with adults too that have had injuries where they've fallen off motorbikes, fallen off buildings. One of the worst ones I worked with was attacked by a samurai sword, and after a few sessions, no more pain. So the thing about this technique is it helps release pain from the past. And so whether it's from pain, a physical pain, or whether it's from a trauma that affects you emotionally, it's just a wonderful technique. These techniques were put together by some amazing people, and I've learned by many different people, neurophysiologists and educators and even psychiatrists that have used this work with people that have had working in a mental hospital, and the results they got with people with schizophrenia and bipolar, and that was amazing. And it's a very gentle technique that just gets the whole brain working, helps grow new pathways, and allows your body to let go of the past in a very gentle way. Does that help explain? It's very hard to explain it until you experience it.
Yes, it sounds amazing. And this surprise secret that we talk about in this topic, to reduce anxiety, to increase clarity and productivity, what is the surprise secret?
Well, it's basically the program, the Brain Gym and the kinesiology. Not everyone knows about it, and it is a secret to a lot of people. For us, it's like I've been using it for so many years, but there's people that still have never heard of it. And what I love about it is that it helps release, retrain and rewire the brain, and it resets it to a new way where you want to go. And it's so effective and it's permanent when you're making these changes. It's not temporary like a lot of techniques can be.
And it only takes a few sessions, right?
Yes. It depends on the people. I find with people that have had a lot of serious pain and injuries, it can take up to about 10 sessions. Same with the children, because oftentimes they've been delayed in their development. And one of the biggest ones is the Moro reflex, which is a primitive reflex. When you see a child and you make a noise, they jump like that. That's the Moro reflex. And even adults have that. So sometimes that primitive reflex does not integrate, and I find that comes up a lot when I'm working with the children. And this is what causes that inner anxiety, and it affects your self-esteem, and it affects your confidence. So when I integrate those primitive reflexes, all of a sudden the child just calms down. Let me share a story. Just recently, I had someone who traveled from Toowoomba to Brisbane. This is where I am in Brisbane. And this child, when first session, he had to be retained by his dad because he was such a hyperactive child, just wanting to go everywhere, unable to sit still. And we started working with him, and his mother did the exercises with him at home for about 4 weeks, because it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for the new pathways to grow. And then they came, and then I rang up to find out how they're going and if they're ready to come down. And she went and checked the school to see how he was going, and the teachers were so surprised how he had improved. So I thought, well, that's fantastic. So he came for his next session, and I could not believe how calm this child was. He sat on the chair. He was able to focus, and he wasn't this hyperactive child that couldn't sit still. And so I'm looking forward to see changes with him, and we've just on the second session. So this is the amazing result. Now, the reason, one of the things is that I wrote a book because I could see parents not knowing where to go to find the answers. And so I wrote a book and I put a lot of research in here, and it gives you the understanding about what the drugs do and how it affects them, and how the program can make a huge difference in understanding how it works. And then a few years later, I wrote another book called Boost Your Child's Ability to Learn, so Success at School and Beyond. And here I share a lot of understanding and tools and skills and hundreds of games and activities, and giving 7 simple steps for parents to know how to boost their child's learning ability. And so
Beautiful. And the first book, the name of that one for those on the audio?
it's ADD ADHD Breakthrough.
Beautiful.
And if people would like a copy, I can offer you a gift offer of 20% off if you buy it straight from me. But you can buy it on the internet. And but I'd love to talk to you and share anything or any concerns that you have.
Wonderful. Well done on that. That's fantastic. 2 really good resources there. And I can see we've got quite a few people joining us live here. Hello on Facebook. We've got Jeff Veal, who's joining us from downtown Manila in the Philippines. Good to see you there, Jeff. We have got on Instagram, Dr. Spin. We've got Myrna Widland join us, John Perry, Annalisa Mopio, Jane. Good to see you, Stephen Lewis. We've got Rob Zeljezik, Guarded Body. So Guarded Body is saying post the link. He wants the link. Yes, we will share the link for Enza. Actually, I'll share it now if you like. We've got a Calendly link. People can book a call with you, Enza. So I'll pop that up on the screen now if you want to just get this down. So you can go to calendly.com/Enza Lion. Enza Lion or Lions?
Lions with an S.
Lions
Yeah.
with an S. Lions. Enza Lions.
Also like to do a special offer for the people today, and they can mention Media Queen when they make a booking on my Calendly page, that they can have I'll be able to give you a free session on how we can help you and find out what challenges that you're having. And I'm going to show you some simple exercises that you can start using straight away. And if you want to continue with the program, I'm happy to give you as a gift a $30 voucher towards your session.
That's wonderful.
To get started.
I love that. And of course, once the anxiety is dealt with, then of course the clarity will come more, and there'll be more productivity as well. What are some general tips you give people, Enza, in life in general? I mean, I know Brain Gym is amazing, and the kinesiology you do, so it'd be definitely worth booking in a session if you want to fast track your results. However, for those at home right now, what could they do just now to maybe help to reduce anxiety? What sort of tips do you have for everyday living, reduce anxiety, to increase clarity and productivity?
Even just going for a walk can make a big difference. You're doing that cross-crawling movement. You find that with a lot of children, they're not moving very much today.
Yes.
They're not, and it's causing brain damage because they're not moving. Because the idea of cross-crawling and passing that midline between the left and right sides and walking is very important to help get that left and right sides working. And so one of the biggest challenges now that we're finding with children, that they are learning only one side at a time, left or right. They're not using their left and right sides coming together. And this is what these simple exercises do. It gets that left and right sides working together, and then you have more clarity, you can concentrate better, you can focus. I had a teacher last year who decided to do my program, and for the first time in her 30 years of teaching, she was speaking to the students and they were so disengaged. She said they were just spaced out and starry-eyed. And she said they just weren't understanding what she said. And she tried so many techniques to help these students, and nothing was working. And when she heard about me teaching the Brain Gym program, she decided to attend. And she started using these exercises, and within 1 week, these children were engaged. They were
Mm.
able to focus. And so we work on cross-collateral movements and eye pattern movements and different things that can help with reading and writing, and they only take 15 minutes a day to do. And this is all the teachers need to do, and the results that teachers get in the classroom is incredible. It calms the students down. They're ready to focus and learn. And this would solve so much troubles for teacher, the stress and workload of kids, being disengaged, falling behind in their classroom, having to deal with the problems that happen in the classroom is just challenging for the teachers. It causes burnout, and so many teachers are leaving their profession, and they were so excited to be a teacher, and that's been taken from them. But you can make a big difference using the Brain Gym program. And I've had, been teaching this for years for teachers, and we've had whole schools doing it, and the teachers notice a huge difference in the children. They're happier, more cooperative, there's less violence and emotional outbursts. It's just a different environment.
Yeah, no, I love what you say about exercising, because I was quite surprised the other day. I was watching a video, and it was saying that if we sit for 3 hours a day, every day, which most people are sitting for at least 3 hours a day, that it shortens our life by 2 years. Isn't that
Mm.
extraordinary? And so this is where a lot of people have stand-up desks, etc. However, exercising, it's amazing what it can do for the mind, body, and soul. It is so important. It's such a simple thing, yet we are in a time now where so many people are just sitting at their computers, working away, or sitting on their phones. So really look at ways you can exercise. And we are in a time too where a lot of people are pill popping, right? So for ADD, ADHD, they're taking the medications, and there's all sorts of side effects that can come with these
Mhm.
medications. Now, some people swear by them. However, I think generally, if you are going to be relying on something outside of yourself to keep you balanced, I think generally that's not going to be a great thing, because what if one day you just can't get that thing? You become like a drug addict, right?
Yeah, it's a
So,
Band-Aid treatment, really. It's not really solving the problem. It really isn't.
mm,
But what
mm,
I do is I look at the cause and we solve it. We solve that problem. Um, and
brilliant.
movement is one of the key things. And there's a lot of research out there now understanding how important movement is, and it helps people to be more happier, less depressed. I mean, if people started just doing exercising, it could help them get out of depression. It helps reduce their anxiety. And what I like about Brain Gym, it's very, very specific though, because there was a research done in Germany, and it was called the Moving Classroom. And it had 18 children, and they were 8 years of age. They never had much experience with any sort of movement. They were divided into 3 groups, okay? The first group, they just played with construction toys and did scooters and things like that. Then the second group did like gymnasium, playing on ropes and bouncing on trampolines and doing different movements in that way. And then the third group, they just did Brain Gym and the repatterning process, where we reprogram, re-educate, rewire the brain to this new way using movement. Anyway, so they used university students over a 6-week period, and they tested the children's spelling, their maths, and their writing and their reading. And they found that the 2 groups, the first one and the second one, there was no changes. But the ones that did Brain Gym had dramatic changes. The children had more confidence. They had less mistakes in their spelling. They they read faster and made less mistakes, and they had better comprehension. And even the parents and the teachers of these students noticed that the children were happier and more confident, and they would use those exercises at home if they wanted to cope better in any sort of stressful situation. So then after that result, they decided to get the other 2 groups to do the Brain Gym. So it took another 6 weeks, and they also had the same results. So even though movement is great and exercise is great, what I love about the brain gym is it's very specific, and we repattern the brain to a new positive way so we can let go of past experiences that has locked that person into that state. Because we're made so beautiful and perfect. As a child, we go through all these movements on the floor. We do our neck, we go on our tummies, and we move with our arms and legs and heads and eye tracking, and then we roll, and then we do the homologous movement where we use our 2 arms and 2 legs, and then we do the contralateral crawling, and then we do the homolateral crawling one side at a time. We look like a soldier when we're learning how to walk, and then we do the contralateral movement. And so we need to go through those movements. But if children have missed out any of those areas, and a lot of times it's the motor reflex, I find, or if the child hasn't fully integrated their crawling and done that properly, and some children even miss out crawling. They just roll on their bottoms and don't do the crawling. About 4 to 7 and 8 years of age, it all comes up to the surface. You can see that they're unable to sit still. They're unable to focus. They're dizzy. They have auditory processing problem. But as soon as we start working with these children and integrating their reflexes and getting the brain gym working every day, 15 minutes a day, that's all they need to do. And you see these dramatic changes. And you've heard some of the testimonials from the children that I've worked with. It's just amazing, the results. And I love this work. It just is very inspiring to me. I learn a lot from my clients. I just can't believe how amazing our body and mind can heal. And, once you get it balanced, it improves. You learn faster. You're more relaxed. You're calm. Yeah.
And you certainly walk the talk, Enza, because I feel so calm with you, and you always seem so calm and confident yourself, which is wonderful. And they say that we only use about 10% of our brain. And if you think about the stats around this, there's 60,000 thoughts we have a day. 98% of them are the exact same thoughts we had yesterday for most people, and 80% are negative. So this is a massive thing to overcome.
The negative self-talk, that is so damaging. That produces cortisol. So, and it can lead to anxiety and things like that. So, and self-sabotage, feeling stuck, not moving forward. And what I like about the brain gym is that you can reprogram that and change it and make it permanent, because it takes 4 to 6 weeks for new pathways to grow once you form them, and then it myelinates. It becomes permanent information. So, it's so amazing that we can do this. This is that neuroplasticity of the brain, I've worked with people that have had strokes and they can get to move again, even had a child who was paralyzed, and we got him moving, crawling, standing. It was just amazing. So you can grow those new pathways. So it doesn't matter what your situation is. The brain is made in an amazing way, and how it can heal.
That's extraordinary. And the Moro reflex, when you talked to me about that, I thought fight or flight. However, actually online, when you look it up, it actually says it's a normal reflex for an infant when they're startled or they feel like they're falling. And what happens is they have a startled look and their arms will fling out sideways and
That's
the
right.
palms up and the thumbs flex. So they kind of go like startled like that. And it actually says that that if they don't have it, that it could be seen as abnormal, and it could indicate that there's an injury or a disease if they actually don't get startled. So isn't that interesting that it's a very normal
What
thing?
happens is, and these primitive reflexes start way back in the womb, okay? And so you go through these stages, and you've got to integrate them. So you get to the point where the reflex isn't controlling you, where you have this inner anxiety. You've got to get to a point where they have to become integrated. Then you're in charge. But what happens is when you have a retained Moro reflex, you can get anxious in any situation where there's something that's you perceive as being danger, or a sound. and you suddenly get anxious. But you can't be jumping at every sound that happens around you. That's not normal. That's a retained reflex. And this is what's happening to these children that are hyperactive, can't sit still. They're in this continual morrow, feeling anxious all the time. But once we work and clear the trauma, whatever it may have been, and they do these simple exercises that's specific to them. I work out exactly which is the one for their body that's right for them. And then the parent does it at home, and it grows the pathways, and then it reorganizes the nervous system and resets as permanent, and it takes 4 to 6 weeks. And this is when you start to see them become calmer, happier children. They're able to focus. They can sit in the classroom and learn. And they love learning. It's not a struggle anymore.
It's interesting. And when you say 4 to 6 weeks, some people say like it takes 21 days to create a new habit. Some people say it takes 80 different times of doing something to create a new habit. So I find that interesting. The 4 to 6 weeks. Is this sort of scientifically proven or part of the brain gym program where in that particular training it takes 4 to 6 weeks with that training?
It takes about that much for myelination. That's been from researchers.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. And would there be a certain number of times you'd need to do certain exercises?
Well,
within
I get the
6
parents.
weeks?
When I get the parents to do it, they do it once a day with the
Okay.
child, and
Okay.
it brings on these amazing results.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah. And I do know about myelin and the neurons that fire
Yep.
together, wire together. And so
Yes.
whatever we're continually practicing, that we tend to wire that stronger. So if you have some bad habits in your life, how to shift those habits can be very challenging for some people. And I've been looking up, the Atomic Habits book, for example, which is really interesting, showing that just slight changes, little 1% change a day can lead to 365% change at the end of the year. However, half the thing, I think, with most people is just actually getting conscious to where we're not conscious of what we habitually do, right? And often we're so close to what we do that we don't see where we're being self-sabotaging or, where we're not being kind to ourselves.
Yeah,
right?
we're running on subconscious mind, and so
Yes.
oftentimes we're not aware that we've got these patterns. And
Yes.
so this is the thing. And I run workshops, the Brain Gym workshops, Brain Gym 101 and 104, and we actually learn how to repattern, how to retrain the brain. And the differences in the students is amazing. We see the results, that helps them in all aspects of life. So it brings balance and harmony in your life and your family's life, because then you learn those skills to help your own family. And a lot of teachers do the program because it helps them to help their students. But when they start to do the program, they realize, wow, this is for me. This is to help me reduce my anxieties and my stresses and how I deal with life. Because we've got so many patterns from the past in our upbringing, and what things that people have told us, what parents have told us, the negative things, and they all affect us, all these belief systems, and they keep floating in our head. And we need to get rid of them. We don't need them. And this is what I love about the brain gym and kinesiology, is that you can reprogram to where you want to go in life.
Absolutely. We've got a interesting comment from Stephen J. Lewis here on Instagram. It says, sympathetic autonomic nervous system fixation has become an area of interest for me where chronic generalized anxiety is present and the usual role of the parasympathetic nervous system is suppressed. So for those who don't know what sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system is, we're talking about the fight or flight response during any potential danger. That's the sympathetic nervous system, whereas the parasympathetic nervous system inhibits the body from overworking and restores the body to a calm and composed state. Right? Sympathetic versus parasympathetic. It's like the iceberg analogy, right? The conscious mind up the top and the subconscious mind, the fight or flight and
Well, I don't. Yeah, it depends what method you use to change that, because my interest in this area is because of anxiety. Because did have a background with domestic abuse, and so I did have a retained Moro, so I was always on alert. So I would be in a situation where everything was safe, and I'd hear a noise and I'd suddenly jump, right? And this was a challenge that I had, and until about must be nearly 20 years ago now, I learned, I was doing brain gym for quite a while, and it used to really help me. And then I learned a program called rhythmic movement, and I combined that together with the work that I do, and it just totally cleared my retained reflex. So I use this method a lot with the children, and it just stops you from jumping at every sound that's not dangerous. You know, that Moro reflex is very important, because if you hear a gunshot, you're going to react for your safety. Okay, that is in us. But the thing is when it's controlling you all the time and you're on alert all the time, it's very difficult to tell your brain, hey, calm down, it's okay, when you're in this anxiety Moro reflex and you're feeling you just can't control it, because it is a primitive reflex. It's a survival response. And you can tell your brain all you like to be relaxed and calm. But when you've got panic attacks, it's all right to keep telling yourself to be relaxed and calm, but it's not going to happen until you deal with the actual cause. If you can clear the cause, you know, and it goes, and I find in most cases it goes back to the Moro reflex. Not all times, because you've got to look at other things. Chemicals can be having an effect on the person. Could even be mold that's affecting the person that's causing anxiety. It could be a trauma, it could be an accident, an injury. There's a whole number of things, but they all go back to survival response. Right? When we have a trauma, we get into survival, and that is, you know, the Moro, fear, paralysis. They're the different ones that, you know, you jump at survival, and they're automatic. So I find with the kinesiology, it's the most gentlest way, using movement and simple techniques that are very gentle, that just calms the person down completely. So you no longer have that anxiety that's going in your stomach, you know, or jumping at every noise, you know. And I saw, it's so amazing. And, you know, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
People
And I
have done this program and put these different programs, and what I've done over the years is I've fine-tuned it to what produces the faster result. I'm very much a result-oriented person, so I like to get information, bring it together and fine-tune it so that I can get the fastest results for the person.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because time, of course, is of the essence. Time is our most valuable commodity, and how we choose to do time. And, you know, I was actually chatting with my dad the other day. He's 86, and he said life is like a toilet roll. He said you start pulling the roll, it goes slow, and then as you keep going, it goes faster and faster. He said as the older you get, the faster life goes, right? I thought that's really funny. My dad, you know, he's 86 and he feels like he's 20 mentally, you know. However, the fact of the matter is, time just flies by, and it's all about how are you going to choose to do your life. And are you going to, you know, you're going to choose to be upset and frustrated and in fight or flight all the time and with this high anxiety, or are you going to find ways to calm yourself down? And you know, I think what I've noticed for myself, you know, I've done a lot of personal development like you have, Enza. We've seen each other at many different courses over the years. And, you know, it's like the layers of the onion, as they say. Or, you know, I find, you know, as much work as I do on myself, I still find there's times I feel anxious at times. I feel down at times, you know, and it's just a matter of how quickly we can navigate that to actually be able to move through that, or whether we stay in that stuck position.
That's right.
Yeah, how we choose to do life. So what's your experience been with that when things have maybe come up for you over time? I mean, you've obviously got all the tools at your disposal, right? So you know,
I'm always using them.
Always using them.
I've had, like I've got 2 children and I've got 5 grandchildren,
Wow.
and it's been a very interesting journey. I just love the grandchildren, they bring so much laughter and life and joy in your life. But they've also been a learning experience for me, and seeing them go through all the different stages of development and everything. And I think that's probably what inspired me with this book, sharing that to parents, because it's a lifetime of learning and understanding that you put into it for parents to understand.
Mm.
So, but I'd like to read a poem to you out of this, if
Sure.
you'd like.
That would be great. Thank you.
I one as a grandparent, I really relate to this, because as a mother, you're so busy with your children and you're running here, there, and everywhere, and it's just amazing. So if I had to have my child raise over again, I'd finger paint more and I'd point the finger less. I'd do less correcting and more connecting. I'd take my eyes off the watch and watch with my eyes. That's what I'd do with my grandkids. I would care to know less and know to care more. I'd take more hikes and fly more kites. I'd stop playing serious and seriously play. I'd run through more fields and gaze at more stars. I'd do more hugging and less tugging. I would be firm less often and affirm much more. I'd build self-esteem first and the house later, and I'd teach less about the love of power and more about the power of love. I just love it. And I had some
Beautiful.
beautiful poems in my book, and here's another one. To understand and recognize that your child is unique. If we could look into each other's hearts and understand the unique challenges each of us face, I think we would treat each other more gently, with more love, patience, and tolerance and care. Just love it. That was by Marvin Ashton. Some great
Mm.
poems that people have done, and you can relate to them.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And one of my very favorites of all time is one called The Dash by Linda Ellis. And while we're on poems, I'll read this one if I may, because I think
Yeah.
you'll love this one. Look up The Dash, you'll see it online. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth. And now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. To be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash?
That is
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Really lovely.
I'd
Yeah,
love
called
to
The
get a
Dash.
copy of that.
Yes, The Dash by Linda Ellis. Look it up online. It's beautiful, beautiful poem, and a great reminder of the fragility of life. And that, the stats are a
Absolutely.
third of people die by the age of 65. These are the stats.
Mm,
And 90% of people die with regrets,
mm.
right? That is just extraordinary. And what would you suggest, Enza, for people to have a full life, to make the most of their life? What are some tips you would give them to really do that? It's a big
Oh,
question,
wow.
I know. Big question. What
That's a
from
big
your
question.
experience,
I haven't even had time to think about that one. Yeah, well, my life is pretty full. So I'm, busy with children and grandchildren and, just life and work. And um,
yes.
so what else could I fit in my life? There could be more. If I could do more hobbies, I could do more things. Um, love gardening. I love planting fruit trees and gardens because I grew up on a farm, a sugarcane
Oh,
farm up North Queensland, from
right.
in an Italian family background. And so we used to make pastas and gnocchis and,
Yum.
all the different dishes. And I love cooking. So I love food. And
Yes.
there's so many things you can do. And I love scrapbooking because it's lovely to keep memories because you forget. When you get older, you forget all the things, and I love going through the albums and just bringing to memory the different things. So, yeah,
Mm,
doing photo books of special occasions that have occurred is another thing that you can do that can be lots of fun. Yeah, there's some of the things that I've done and that people can do, and there's so many things, and it really depends on your interests. Some people like skydiving, but
yeah.
I don't think I could do it. But,
Yes.
sailing and doing so many different things. There's so much we can do to add into our life, and I think you just gotta work out what it is that you love to do.
Yes, I would totally agree with that. Bring some passion and love into your life. And in fact,
Mm.
Bob Proctor, who is one of the, foundational sort of personal development guys who actually passed away in 2022 at age 87.
Mm.
When he was 84, he did a video on YouTube and someone asked, how do you find your purpose? And his answer was, do what you love as much as possible every single day. Do as much as you can of what you love. And what you've just mentioned there, they've just rolled off the tongue and you had a smile on your face as you were talking about all
Yeah,
those things, Enza, is you talking about
yeah,
the things you love to do. And I think really
yeah,
this is what life's about, is to have a full, joyful experience of life as much
yeah.
as possible, and to learn from the moments when we have our low moments too. We're going to have our times when we're not
Mhm.
feeling so joyful, right? When things are going to
Right.
challenge us, right? Technical
Yep,
problems, issues
yep,
like we had today, these things can pop up at any moment, right? You can get tech
yep.
issues or suddenly unexpected things happen. In fact, life is full of curveballs, I believe. There's constantly curveballs
Yeah,
happening.
that's
It's about
right.
how
Pull
we
your
navigate.
socks up and get up and move again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What advice would you give, Enza, for if you look back at your life, what advice would you give to yourself, as a younger child that you now know that maybe you didn't know as a younger child, or for others that are, for children growing up in today's day and age, what advice would you give them? Tips to really live a great life, or to have more peace and calm in their life now.
I think it's important for us to treat one another with love and kindness. I really think that's important. And care and have interest in others and their needs, and maybe that's why I love doing the work that I do. I love to see people happy and at peace and have families in harmony and unity. Um, it can be very difficult because people don't always have that same attitude, and so but it brings harmony to life, you know. And I remember when I was a young girl, I remember I was going to church. I was 12 years of age, I think, and I was only just young, and things were in my mind, and I was a Catholic going to church, and and I remember learning about the Ten Commandments, and I thought, you know what? If everybody was keeping the Ten Commandments, do not steal, do not kill, do not covet, do not, all these things, honor your parents and honor God, you know, the whole world would be at peace. But no one's following it. Only a few people are, you know.
Mm.
And if people would show love to one another, wouldn't it make a difference?
And it starts with loving yourself, right? Which is why your work is so powerful, brain gym and rewiring the brain, because the more
Yeah,
love we have for ourselves, the kinder we're going to be to others. Whereas if we're not loving ourselves, if we're speaking badly to ourselves, etc., we're going to
exactly.
reflect that on our family, on our community, on the people around us. And this is
Yep,
where we say hurt people, and healed people heal people, right?
exactly.
And
Yep.
how can you fast track the healing process in your life,
Well,
really?
I suppose I healed myself so much, but it wasn't just me. I went to courses and workshops and I
Mm,
did a lot of healing at these different programs, and that's why I like attending the different workshops, with the kinesiology, because there's so many different ones out there, and, it does help you, and it helps you to believe in a divine power too, because there's a purpose for each and one of us. There's a destiny for all of us, and a wonderful destiny for all of us at the end. And so when you have that love, for God and love for mankind, you are at peace. You are at peace with yourself, and you're at peace with others.
mm, absolutely. And at the end of your life, Enza, what do you want people to say about you? How would you like people to remember you in this life?
That's a
I know
really
it's a big
I
question. It's a good
don't
one for everyone to actually consider right now. Everyone
oh,
watching us right now on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, let us know, how do you want to be remembered? It's a great question,
oh,
right?
wow. Well, that's something I've not really thought about, but I'd love people to remember me, as a caring person, that I care about them, and I care about their life. And it's a really big question to ask when I haven't thought about it. So
Mm,
I don't know. You don't know what people think of you, and
mm. How would you like them to think of you? Like, I like to think of people, if I think, okay, how do I want people to remember me? I want people to remember me as someone who lived life to the full, who had a lot of
well,
fun,
yeah,
who made the
yeah.
most of life. That's
I
how I
see
want to
what you mean. Yeah, I
yeah,
can see what you're saying. I couldn't think what I
yeah,
could say. Yeah, I am a person that loves to live life to the full. I
yeah.
can't sit around and just do nothing. It's just impossible. Um,
Mm,
so yes, I love living life to the full, and I would recommend people to do that and do it with everything that they love, and but whatever they love to do, because we're all got different talents. We're all uniquely wired, so we're all attracted to different things that we like to do. So yeah, living um, life to the full, absolutely.
yes, for living life to the full. Stephen J. Lewis says, worth the visit, ladies. Kudos to both of us. Thank you so much. Let us know, those joining us live or on the replay. Let us know, firstly, are you joining us live? Put live in the chat if you're joining us live. And let us know, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered? It's a great question. And also, if you have any tips for us as well on what do you do to reduce anxiety, to increase clarity in your life and productivity as well. And as we say, life seems to be speeding up at a rapid pace. How do you improve your productivity? What other little tips have you got for us, Enza, of things you do to improve your productivity and clarity in life?
I always give myself time in the morning. I wake up very early in the morning. I'm a
Mhm.
and I give myself time to meditate and think about the things that I want to do, and I find my brain is so much more creative at that time, and come up with all sorts of ideas in what I want to do,
Mm,
whether it's in my work and how I can help others, and yeah, things that I can do. It's a great time. It's a quiet time, and there's so much you can feel at peace. Really, feel at peace
mm,
with everything
mm.
you do.
Yeah, I love that too. I meditate in the mornings as well. And I love setting an intention for the day. I think that's a great thing to do, and to be grateful as much as possible. Where can you bring
Mm,
gratitude into your life? What are you grateful for right
absolutely.
now? What are you
Yes.
grateful for? Let us know in the chat here. We've got Debbie Langley's just joined us. Good to see you on Instagram there. Let us know, what are you grateful for today? What's one thing you're grateful for? It's an instant way to shift your mood, isn't it? And
Yeah.
to bring more calm into your life. It's such a simple thing. And then, of course, breathing exercises are fantastic as well. And I know you have all sorts of other ways with Brain Gym. So for those who missed your special offers at the beginning of this show, as we come to start to wrap up the show, could you share again how people can work with you online, in person, etc., and what's your special offer for our viewers?
Well, they could connect with the calendly.com, Enza Lyons, and make a free initial session and we can discuss your challenges and see how we can help you. And I can show you some simple tools. Excuse me, I need some water.
Yes. All
I can show
good.
you some simple skills and tools that you can start using straight away. And if you're interested in doing a session, I'm happy to give you a $30 gift voucher so that you can start working on helping yourself make a big difference in your life or in your child's life, wherever it is that you want to work on. And also, if you want to book into any of my workshops that I'm running in the next month, you'll be able to contact me through the calendar, and I can send some information to you on that. And also, I'm offering 20% off on my books if you want to order it straight from me through the calendar, and give you 20% off, or you can buy them over the internet. Excuse me.
Wonderful. And that link again for those who missed it or who are on audio, calendly.com, calendly.com/Enza Lyons, ENZALYONS. Back to you, Enza.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Aldwyn, for having me. And I hope your people have learnt something that could help them through their life, and hopefully we can meet and see if I can help them further to move forward in their life and step up to the next level.
Wonderful. And you've got those 2 books there that they can get a copy of. You've got 20% discount if they get it from you. You've got $30 off your sessions as well. So remember to mention Media Queen TV when you book in with Enza. And that is a free link to have a chat anyway initially, no obligation. So go along there. I'll pop that up on the screen again. There is calendly.com/Enza Lyons. It's been wonderful chatting with you today, Enza. And for those who want to connect with me, you can go to my linktree/Aldwyn, and you'll see that there on the screen in just a minute, linktr.ee/Aldwyn. And there you will see all of my links. We've got a whole lot of free resources for getting yourself out there to be seen, heard, and known amongst the noise. We have different marketing packages that we do for our interviews, and we have a mass media mastery program. And also we do PR for people as well, where we will help you feature in TV, radio, print, and online media. And we have a whole lot of strategic connections and can hook you up with speaking gigs and book projects and all sorts of things. So reach out, book a call on my calendar link, which is in my linktree/Aldwyn, if you want to have a chat with me. And I'd love to help you with that. And also we have the Global Good News Challenge every month, which is a way that you can practice gratitude. You can help rewire those neurons in the brain, and you can get into gratitude with the practice of sharing in the Global Good News Challenge. We have a 7-day challenge for July. You can start anytime within July, and then it's an 8-day challenge for August, etc. Check it out at the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page. All the details are at the top there. Look forward to connecting with you, and check out some of our other shows as well on Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen TV on YouTube. You'll see over 1,200 videos on there, some other amazing interviews. Check out some of the content there for some inspiration and some laughs. We've got some comedy on there as well and all sorts of things. So check that out there. Subscribe if you haven't already, and check us out on all the audio platforms as well, on Spotify and all Apple Podcasts, etc. So wonderful connecting with you, Enza. Is there any final words you'd like to say as we wrap up today?
No, I think I've said everything that I could say. So thank you, Owen, for allowing me to share stories and the things that I do, and I trust that I've been able to help others understand that there is always an answer out there to a problem. There's always a solution, and to situations where anxiety is really controlling your life and affecting you in every area. So I trust that what I've shared has helped you to have a better understanding. So thank you, everyone, for listening.
It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Enza. And she's based in Brisbane. If you want to see her personally or from anywhere in the world, just hop on Zoom and you can have a session with her and she can help to shift some things where maybe you've been stuck for a while and you want to help bring some more calm and peace to your life in your family or in your workplace, then reach out to Enza. She's your lady. Thank you so much once again. Thanks for joining us here on Media Queen TV. And I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes, which is from Gandhi, which is, be the change you wish to see in the world. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And thank you so much, Enza. Are there any other quotes? I know you shared that poem. Anything else, any other quotes or mottos that words of wisdom last minute?
I have another one if you like.
Oh, yeah, another one would be great.
Do we have time?
Yes, absolutely.
Just a simple one. This one's a simple one, so we won't have to. So I've got some lovely poems in here in this book of mine here. It's just so many wonderful poems that people have written. This one here is not a poem. This is a statement. I've never heard of a flower with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If a flower isn't growing, we give it what it needs: water, nutrition, sunlight, patience, and love.
Yes, so true. And a flower doesn't look at another flower and go, oh, you're prettier than me. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. You're a much better flower than I am. They don't do that, do they?
I had another one about a rose, if you want me to
sure.
do it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dear. If I can find
this is out of which book is this one out of?
This is out of my sorry, I can't see.
There it is, yeah.
That one there.
7 Simple Steps.
Okay, so yeah. It's Success at School and Beyond is the heading. 7 Simple Steps to Boost Your Child's Learning Ability.
Beautiful.
So this is about a rose. Everything we need is already in us, inside us. So when we plant a rose in the earth, we notice that it's small, but we do not criticize it as rootless and stemless. We treat it as a seed, giving it water and nourishment required of a seed. When it first shoots up out of the earth, we don't condemn it as immature and underdeveloped, nor do we criticize the buds for not being open when they appear. We stand in wonder at the process taking place, and we give the plant the care it needs at each stage of development. The rose is a rose from the time it is a seed to the time it dies. So within it, at all times, it contains its whole potential. It seems to be constantly in the process of its whole potential. It seems to be constantly in the process of change. Yet at each stage, at each moment, it is perfectly all right as it is. And that was an author unknown. I thought, how wonderful. When you see a seed and a plant grow, you just enjoy each stage. It's just beautiful. And that's what we all are. We're all at different stages and we're beautiful where we are.
Absolutely. And we're all perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect, right? And
exactly.
It's about enjoying the whole journey, enjoying the seasons of life and really celebrating every single day, because it truly is such a gift to be here. We've beaten 1 billion swimmers to get to the finish line. We're 1 in 1 billion just by being here, and you are extraordinary. Thank you so much, Enza. I love that. Thank you for joining us, everyone, on the live here today on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and X. Sending you all much love, and on the podcast platforms. We'll see you back again on Media Queen TV. And here's to you living your most extraordinary life in the meantime. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time.